So welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're taking a look at the Glimmer token. This is the native token of the Moonbeam network, an Ethereum virtual machine compatible smart contract chain on Polkadot. So what we're going to do is take a little look at it, have a look at the tokenomics, dive into the reasons why it had a huge dump just yesterday and why this could be a major opportunity in 2022. I'm not saying to go all in right now, but I think over time this is one you want to accumulate. And further to this, let's have a little look at some of the Dapps currently deployed on the Moonbeam network. So if you enjoy the content today, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out the pinned comment down below and join us over on Patreon. So the future here is multi-chain. That is the message from Moonbeam. So these guys are EVM compatible. This means that any smart contract running on Ethereum can be brought over to the Moonbeam network very easily and therefore take advantage of cheap transaction fees, very quick transaction times, and access to a rapidly growing ecosystem on Polkadot. As we know, all the chains on Polkadot will interoperate. And so as the parachain slots are padded out with more and more chains being added, you're going to see something pretty special, I do believe. But this is going to be a bit of a slow burner. As we've seen, I think expectations for Polkadot in general were maybe a little bit too high, but over the months to come, we're going to see continued development of this ecosystem, and these chains are all just starting out here. So very early on equals a great opportunity in my opinion. So as it describes here over on Moonbeam, it's minimal configuration changes due to the fact you won't have to rewrite any of your smart contracts. They're going to work as if they are on ETH, and we can utilize all the tools we're used to. MetaMask, for example, get that Moonbeam network added to your MetaMask, guys, and start playing around with this. So it should be fairly easy for developers to merge over onto here and also for us as users. Polkadot is going to bring about a load of new use cases and a lot of new user base as well. They are very big in Asia, and so this is another market that a lot of people can start to tap into, especially if you're a developer in the US, for example. You want to get involved and utilize some of these new users. A rich pool of assets, as they mentioned. We've already got a developing ecosystem here with Dot, Kusama, Akala, A-Star, and now Moonbeam. So many assets for this ecosystem which can be tapped into. And so I do think that this will be a very high growth blockchain in general. And further to this, they have a large number of projects building with them, as you can see from this list here. Previously, we've seen a lot of stats for Moon River, the Kusama based chain, their little sister to this one, and they had huge numbers utilizing the chain, a lot of transactions going through, that kind of stuff. And Moonbeam will follow in those footsteps, but be even bigger yet again as it is on the main chain Polkadot. So utilizing this token, you're going to be using it as gas. So like ETH on the Ethereum network, the Glimmer token is your gas for the network, so it will be used for transaction fees. You can also stake the token to get involved with the validation of transactions and also governance here through on-chain governance. If we just dive into this a little bit further, the total token supply is 1 billion, but there is a 5% annual inflation rate. And out of the transaction fees, 80% of the transaction fees are actually burnt and 20% goes to the treasury. In terms of this annual inflation rate here, if we just jump over to the docs, on this page, you can see that out of the additional 5% each year, 50% of those go to the collators and delegators, i.e. those helping to validate this proof of stake blockchain. Then 20% goes to collator commissions and 30% goes to the parachain bond reserve. So encoded within their token economics, they have future parachain bond as a reserve. So this is one of those parachains that is going to be around for a very, very long time, in my opinion, and many see this as the premier smart contract blockchain on Polkadot. And as we dive into some price data here, you can see it's down considerably, 27% on the day, with a market cap of $464 million. So just put this in perspective, you have a nascent smart contract platform on Polkadot network, which is going to be growing exponentially in the years to come. This network itself, Moonbeam, has only been launched since January and has already got a higher TVL than Cardano. So if we just do a comparison here, Glimmer to ADA, the native token of each of those blockchains, Moonbeam and Cardano respectively, you can see the Glimmer token is a 65x away from ADA. Now this is a little bit like comparing apples and oranges, but you can see the kind of market cap that this really could attain if it gets a similar amount of community hype and investors around it. There's not so much built on ADA and working as just yet, but Moonbeam is already steps ahead of this and has a lot more TVL on the network. So I don't see that this kind of price in the future would be unattainable. It would be very high indeed, but maybe even if it does attain just half of this over the next bull run and gets to a token price of 80 bucks, still with some 35, 40x away from that as of right now. So what the heck happened over the last 24 hours? Why did this price of the Glimmer token absolutely dump like crazy? Well, this was due to a community pre-sale event called the Take Flight event, where a load of pre-sale investors got their hands on tokens very cheap, and they unlocked just yesterday on the 20th of February. So if we just look at the market cap data here, this is pertinent in my opinion. You can see it was selling off considerably ever since it was launched essentially. Market cap just going down and down and down, tokens coming into circulation on a daily basis, and then we had this big unlock. So this caused the market cap overall to spike immediately as so many tokens just came online. This boosted the market cap, but I would expect the market cap to now trend back to where it was before the unlock. So somewhere in the region of $400 million is where I'm looking, and a price point below $2 for this token is where I'm really starting to get interested once again. So what happened yesterday? Well, this is the tail of the price. So those who had done their research and were aware of this knew that once we got our first crowd loan tokens, there was an opportunity to sell this token and buy it back a lot cheaper. So we got our tokens back here somewhere, initially launched at a price of like 10, 12, 15 bucks even, depending on where you got to sell it. And through our Patreon community, we had spoken about this on a few occasions, and majority of us had sold between this kind of rectangular box, somewhere in the region of $12 to $6 for the majority of people. And now we find ourselves at a price of around $2.48, and we hit a bottom of $1.80 yesterday when the token unlock occurred. So even now, if we sold at say $6, we can pretty much increase our Glimmer holdings by a 3x from there. So that was pretty sweet. Let's just zoom into this and take a look on a close-up what happened. This was prior to the token unlock here. So at $3.46 just by here. And then we dumped all the way down to the bottom here at around $1.80. So a 48% reduction in price in around a 1 hour period there. And that was because so many tokens just became unlocked for pre-sale investors. So this was telegraphed to us. So if you weren't aware of this, unfortunate for you, you do need to make sure you know the token distribution for any new coins hitting the market. Moonbeam said this yesterday, great news, the Moonbeam Foundation has completed the distribution of the Glimmer rewards to Take Flight participants. Glimmer tokens were sent to the rewards address specified in the token purchase agreements. And all of this data was made available online. I did believe it was 80 million to start with, but it actually boosted up to 98 million tokens. So that's how many tokens were dumped on the market just yesterday. Of course, not all of these were sold, but a lot of people would have taken profits. So this is the data from the Moonbeam Foundation website specifically. And if we do look at the Take Flight information here, it said 80 million Glimmer were allocated for the event. But if you think back to the parachain crowd loans, the initial distribution for crowd loaners was 10%, i.e. 100 million tokens, but there was a boost to this after many people were complaining about community rewards. So it looks like they boosted a load of community rewards, not just the crowd loan, but also Take Flight participants as well. So it's almost, in essence, 100 million tokens were unlocked at this moment in time. And of course, that is the recipe for a nice big token dump. So here is the Take Flight information. These guys got involved back on the 7th of September. There were 3 sequential rounds of funding at a fixed price of just 25 cents per Glimmer token. So even now, they're up still a 10x on their initial investment. The lockup period is 40 days from a full Moonbeam network launch, and they define that as a balance transfer and EVM enabled chain. So once that happened, that was in early January, 40 days started the countdown, and the vesting period was none. So this means as soon as the 40 days had elapsed, all these tokens were therefore unlocked. So 98 million tokens unlocked, and these people had got in at a price point of 25 cents. So their $500 investment became $5,000, and their $2,500 investment became $25,000 just yesterday. So of course you're going to get people taking those profits and running for the hills with them. So that is what occurred, and this led to this opportunity we see here, huge token unlock, and the potential for you to get some cheap Glimmer tokens for the long run. Now I put my buy orders in a little bit lower, very low $1 region. It did not get that far down, and so I haven't been able to rebuy back mine just yet. Even if I market buy them right now, I'll make a heck of a return and have a lot more tokens than I did get initially from the crowd loan. But I still do believe we will actually get even better prices than this. Currently, the market is still in a down trend. All the people who were waiting for this have probably bought their tokens just then, and there are still emissions to come from the Glimmer token as we go forward. The huge APR for staking is still on the table. It's up to around 40% right now, and so there will be sell side pressure as we go forward. And I think most of the buy pressure has already come in and scooped the tokens, so I would expect this to decay further. So I've now laddered in some orders over on Kraken, starting from just below $2, going all the way down to $1. So hopefully I'll be able to scoop up a load of these tokens on the cheap over the coming weeks or months, and I'm happy to be very patient with this and get my fills. None of this detracts from the fact I think Moonbeam is a great play going forward. Low market cap, may get even lower, which will be very juicy, and over the long term I think this one will do very wonderful things. So this is definitely on my 2022 watch list. If we just go through DeFi Llama here, you can see Polkadot is now on the books in position 13. So with just a few chains actually launched here, you can see TVL for just Polkadot, A-Star, Parallel, Moonbeam and Energy Web token here is just over $1.3 billion. So imagine when this gets to 100 different parachains all launched on here, it's going to be right up near the top in terms of TVL, and all of these different chains will be speaking to one and each other, and a smart contract platform like Moonbeam is going to get a lot of business from the other parachains in here as well. So I think this is definitely an undervalued chain and one to really have your eyes on for the next big run in the market. So here we have the Moonbeam Dapps. If you look at the TVL, of course, it just took a huge hit because the Moonbeam token, the Glimmer token, has just gone down like over 50% in a couple of days. So you can pretty much ignore this for now and just focus on what is real on here, what's been going on. Seabridge here is connecting to a load of different chains. They've also got AnySwap integration. This means bridging to and from the Moonbeam network will be very simple to do. And we can see some early runners in here. STELLA and BEAMSWAP are fighting it out for the #1 DEX position. And then fourth down here with $11 million in TVL is Moonbeam, a stable swapping protocol. So now I have my eyes on some of these protocols. We're going to go through these very quickly, as I think there will be major opportunities with these dApps as well. And you don't necessarily have to commit any new funds and buy up these tokens right now. On CoinGecko, these have been added to the Moonbeam list. If you further filter by the Moonbeam chain, you can see these specific ones. And they're barely registering with market caps. The only one with a market cap on here so far is BEAMSWAP, the Glint token, just 645,000. But let's start with Moonbeam. This is what I've got my eyes on. So this is a stable swapping protocol. The token economics design is similar to that of maybe Curve. I've seen this one specifically with like Geist protocol or Spirit Swap with the 90-day lock. So you can either stake the token or lock the token. If you lock, you get a huge APR, 3,000%, crazy stuff. This is obviously in its infancy. There's not a lot of TVL on here, $11 million so far, but we are very early days with this kind of stuff. So if you go to the farming section, and then you can see there's stable coins you can farm with. So without committing new funds to this token directly, which is going to be a bit of a headache because the price of the token is going up and down very erratically on a day-by-day basis, well, you can come in here and just start farming it with stable coins. There's around 32% APR here for this stablecoin pool and around 42% for this stablecoin pool. These are AnySwap based tokens. So not the simplest chain to get onto, but you can see there's some nice juicy rewards available on here. And if you think that this could be in the future the major stable swapping protocol on this network, well, then it could have fantastic value going forward. So you could farm this for free right now. One drawback of this is that Curve, which is a stable swapping protocol, is launched on the Moonbeam network. And so this is probably going to eat the lunch of Moonbeam, but competition is healthy nonetheless. So that would be a bit of a punt on Moonbeam, as Curve is already going to come over here and probably take market share, but it's something to have on your radar and maybe farm with some stable coins for free. Then we have the DEX STELLA swap here. So this is a simple swapping protocol. No need to explain this in any depth. You can see from the UI here, you can swap from any token to the ones that are currently live and kicking on this Moonbeam network. They've got integrations with the likes of Matic, and there is actually a launch tomorrow, an ILO launch for the Phantom network. They did this previously with Matic. There's loads of notifications here on their Medium that is worth diving into. They seem very professional in what they're doing, and they're bridging to Phantom starting tomorrow with an ILO launch. So there could be a bit of a community building moment here with Phantom. But as I mentioned, you can go ahead and just farm it, go to the farm tab. Likewise, you can come in here and maybe just start farming with a stable to stable pool. They've got USDC to USDT and DAI to USDC down here, about 6.5% APY, nothing huge. And they've also got some dual reward pools with the seller bridge here as well. So this will get you paid out in both the seller token and the STELLA token here. So all these APRs that you can see on screen pay you out in the STELLA token. So if you think this one could be a viable DEX here on Moonbeam, then you can go ahead and start farming. They've also got a bridge. I've seen the simplest way is probably the bridge from BSC. In terms of the tokenomics design here, they have these vaults where you can lock up the STELLA token for various periods of time for increased amounts of APR. So all of these are going to be highly inflationary as they are so new. Then we have BEAMSWAP, the other DEX on the network. This one has an even better looking UI in my opinion. Has a little bit of a chart here as well. I'm not sure if they're maybe going to look into having limit orders in the future, but this one looks pretty damn good as well. In terms of token economics, go on to Beam Share. And this has a similar model to Sushi with the X Sushi model. You can stake the Glint token to get a share token. And this, as they say down here, stake Glint, receive share, that's your receipt token, and gives you a share of the pool. This automatically compounds by using a proportion of all trade fees to buy back Glint, which means the share to Glint ratio grows over time. Current APR of that is around 60%. They've also got a lot of farms on here as well, and you can start farming this with stablecoins and get around 10% paid out in the Glint token. If you want to take on some impermanent loss, there's a lot better APRs up here for these various pools. BEAMSWAP also has pretty decent liquidity, around $47 million worth. And then over here on the volume, they've been putting in consistently over $1 million per day. Nothing spectacular at this moment in time, but as I say, Moonbeam has only been up and running for 41 days right now. And so this is very early doors stuff, but this is worth taking note of. Not a lot of people are going to be taking full advantage of this right now. And if these networks really start to grow and these become the #1 DEXs with big TVL and lots of trade on them, well, these tokens will become very valuable over a long enough time horizon. So staking Glimmer has a huge APR of around 38%, as you can see up here. Various ways to do this. You can use a third-party site like stakeglimmer.com, which is the one I'm on, or you can go straight to the Moonbeam Foundation site itself, connect up your wallet and start staking tokens. All you have to do is select a collator and follow instructions. Not too difficult. I will be doing this once I've got my bags filled, and I will also be conducting a full tutorial on this utilizing a ledger device for full safety. So once I've filled my bags with Glimmer tokens and I get myself fully set up on here, you can expect some tutorials down the line on this. So stay tuned for all of that and make sure you subscribe. So a big token sell-off yesterday due to almost 100 million Glimmer tokens hitting the network, but now we're seeing a little bit of a bounce, a small recovery, but I do expect this one to trend a little bit lower over the time, with the market conditions being like they are right now. And I think overall this will be a very good risk to reward opportunity on a brand new smart contract platform on one of the most highly anticipated layer 0 chains, Polkadot. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for future updates on this network. I am very excited for Polkadot and these smart contract platforms like Moonbeam and A-Star specifically. Hope you have a good day, folks, and I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.